Today we're going to see if we can make failed prints from layer shifts a thing of the past with S42B closed loop stepper motors. If you're into 3D printing, inevitably at some stage you're going to suffer from some failed prints. And a failed print from skip steps and a layer shift can be the most frustrating because either side of the shift, the print can be perfect. Normally a 3D printer doesn't have any way of knowing this shift has occurred and continues on printing. So today we're testing the Bigtreetech S42B, a closed loop stepper motor that aims to make layer shifts a thing of the past. If you're not sure what closed loop means, we're going to start with that, followed by looking at the specs, a guide to installation, and then some back-to-back tests. Before we examine the product, we're going to examine the problem. And Yoda's splitting headache is a classic example of a layer shift. You can see that the vast majority of the print has gone well, but then all of the layers have shifted over to one side and then continued as if nothing had happened. Here's another example from the start of a print. Everything is shifted around 5 mils to the side. The printer doesn't know anything's wrong and continues as usual. Here's yet another example where there's been a series of tiny layer shifts and the whole part is slanting to the side as it builds upwards. This problem is possible because the motion systems on 3D printers are open loop. To explain what that means, here's a relatable scenario. Let's say a person is tasked with taking exactly 10 steps to arrive at a cone. As long as the cone was in reach, I think most people will be confident of doing this, and for good reason. We can see a successful attempt here with 10 steps, but you'll notice that the spacing between them varies quite a bit. And that's because we've used our vision as part of a closed loop feedback system. Although the initial steps were estimated and might have been too big or too small, we can check our progress visually and adjust future steps to reach the target. Having feedback like this is known as closed loop and ensures accuracy. So what if this time we repeat the task but we're given a blindfold? In this case, there's an extremely strong chance that your steps will not only be the wrong length, but in the wrong direction. And that's because our system is now open loop. We have no feedback from our vision and we can't compensate for inaccuracy. And this is exactly how a traditional 3D printer motion system works. Pulses are sent to the stepper motors, but there's no feedback, so accuracy is just assumed. So in the event that a ninja breaks in and sabotages our print, the 3D printer has no idea that this has happened and continues as usual, except with its coordinates completely wrong. As impressive as this mid-air recovery was, you cannot regard this as anything but a failed print. So what we're testing in this video is a closed loop stepper motor. Pulses are sent to the stepper, but the rotation of the stepper is monitored, so corrections can be made to recover from layer shifts and other inaccuracies. The S42 as tested in this video is from Bigtreetech, and we'll start with the price. If you want to keep your existing stepper motors, for US $16 you can order a set of everything to add onto the back of them, and there are instructions for doing this on their GitHub, but personally I thought it looked a little bit too fiddly. So in my case, I paid a little bit more, at US $24, to order with stepper motors included and everything pre-assembled. What makes this kit nice is that it's completely plug and play. There is a serial port to connect it to a computer, and the firmware is open source, so you can really customize if you want. But for the average person, they can simply plug it in and make any configuration changes required from the OLED screen and buttons on the board. Each module actually has a 32-bit processor on board to control things, and the actual stepper motor driver is an A4950. Finally, a magnetic encoder is used to monitor the revolution of the stepper motor. Each individual module comes in the sealable plastic box. Components include the adapter that plugs into the 3D printer mainboard, the OLED screen, the cables required to connect everything up, and the actual stepper motor with module pre-installed. And there's a rubber ducky included as well, and I know this is quite important to some people. Here's a closer look at the adapter that goes into the mainboard, and the OLED screen. It has a satisfying film to tear off. It plugs into the back of the S42B module, and is controlled from these 4 buttons on the side. The shorter cable plugs into the S42B board and then into the side of the stepper motor, and the longer cable plugs into the 6-pin header on the S42B and the other side into the adapter for the main board. It's only a matter of seconds before everything is ready to install into the printer. Now that we've seen the parts, let's discuss suitability, because these won't be for every printer. First and foremost, we need a main board with sockets for removable stepper motor drivers. And that means that not every main board will be compatible. The stock Creality main boards have integrated stepper motor drivers, as do boards like the SKR Mini E3. To be compatible, we need a main board with a socket for removable stepper motor drivers, or in this case, the adapter for the S42B. Boards like the SKR Mini or Mini E3 DIP will have these sockets, as does the SKR version 1.3 and 1.4, and I'll be using a 1.3 in this video. Interestingly, the SKR version 1.4 actually has ports for these steppers, so the adapter's not needed. Labeled each axis and then CLS for closed loop stepper. But they still have the socket, so I guess the user has a choice. Number 2 might not be so obvious, and that's that we need sufficient space for the longer stepper motor and the closed loop module on the back. Here's a standard Ender 3 stepper versus the S42B as it comes pre-assembled. As you can see, it's quite a bit longer. You're going to need at least 60mm of space from the face of the stepper, and maybe even more because you still need to see the screen and access the buttons. If you're buying this in kit form, it's going to add at least 20mm to the back of your existing stepper motor. On an Ender 3, there's actually plenty of room for a longer stepper on the back of the X-axis, but for the Y-axis, you're going to need a smaller leveling knob to avoid collisions. And this is mentioned in the documentation for an Ender 3 install. Another example is the Artillery 3D X1. For the X-axis, there's plenty of room for a longer stepper, but the Y-axis stepper is actually down inside the case. It's going to be hard to get it to fit, and even harder to see the screen and access the buttons. My target for this video was going to be an Ender 5. Once again, the X-axis has plenty of room for a bigger stepper, but then I remembered the Y-axis has an output shaft on either end, so the S42B couldn't be swapped in. coreXY printers are typically pretty friendly for this, which is why I ended up installing it in a converted coreXY Ender 3. There's plenty of room for the S42Bs at the back. You just have to be prepared to tilt the printer forward to be able to see the screens during setup. Something else to consider is that the output shaft is longer, so make sure you have room for that, and that the pulleys on some printers won't come easily off the old motor, so you might need to supply your own belt pulley for the new stepper. Back to our list, and you will need access to the firmware source, although the changes are very minimal, and generally you would only install these on X and Y. I could see the Z axis potentially being useful, but if you're having missed extrusion or skips on the extruder, it's better to solve the underlying problem, in this case a partially clogged nozzle. It's time to fit these to the printer, and for some of my demonstrations I'm going to use this MKS Gen L just because it's a little bit clearer to show. Step 1 is to remove your old stepper motor driver as well as any jumpers underneath that were used to set microstepping. If your SKR board supports jumpers for UART or SPI, make sure they're removed too. We then insert the adapter, lining up the enable pin with what's labelled on the main board. Regardless of which main board you're using, if you fail to get this right, you're probably going to let out the magic smoke. After this, we simply plug in the 6-pin cable that goes to the S42B. Here's X and Y ready to go on the real printer. Obviously, we have to fit the actual stepper motors. Rather than undo my belts, I simply loosened the grub screw for the pulley and was able to slide the whole thing out the bottom before doing it in reverse with the S42Bs. Tighten the grub screw, tension the belt, and you're done. In terms of firmware, we only need one change, and that's setting the steppers for whichever ones you're fitting to the default. Even though X and Y say TMC 2209, we can see above that if it's commented out, it defaults to A4988. In my case, I had one additional change because my steppers refused to move. Anytime I tried to home, it would sit still and trigger an error. Apparently this fix is only needed for coreXY machines and involves changing the minimum stepper pulse width and maximum stepping rate. We simply uncomment the line, change the minimum to 3, also uncomment the maximum and change the value to 150,000. There's a set of dip switches underneath the OLED screen, and for first calibration, we need to switch number 4 to on. We now plug back in the screen and turn on the printer. The middle button on the right toggles between information display and the menu system. The lower button scrolls through the various menus, and the top button selects. In this case, we're going to select Calibrate. This process takes somewhere between 1 to 2 minutes. The stepper motor will pulse in one direction for the first half, and then back in the direction it came from. Here's how it looks on the actual printer. You'll notice my print head is in the middle of the machine. Don't make the mistake of already having it in the homed position, because it's just going to collide with the frame. When it's done, you'll have confirmation, and you reset the S42B by pressing the last button. We can now switch dip 4 back to off. Dip 3 toggles closed loop, so there's a fair chance you're going to want to switch it to on. On my test version, I could see that everything was moving. The stepper responded to manual commands, with the OLED display telling you the current RPM, rate of error, and angle the stepper was currently set to. At this stage, I decided to test closed loop. If I force the stepper, as soon as I let go, it swings back to the original position. On my actual printer, I found that one of the steppers was moving in the wrong direction. Fortunately, we don't need to edit the firmware to fix this. We can invert the direction of the stepper right from the OLED menu on the back of the S42B. We can also set the current that's sent to the stepper. This is the equivalent of VREF. The only difference is that the current sent to the stepper will be half of whatever is displayed on the screen. We can also set our microstepping here with options from half up to 1 to the 32. This would be unusual, but if you need to, you can invert the logic of the enable pin. In my case, I just needed to invert the direction of both steppers and everything was working again as it should. With everything working, it was time to do some benchmark testing. My baseline were TMC 2209s on all axes, and for this video I fitted S42Bs on X and Y, and they have onboard Allegro A4950 drivers that certainly don't have a good reputation like TMCs. So I wanted to find out if the new system was going to be louder, whether it would introduce any surface artifacts, and of course I wanted to test if closed loop correction really worked and correct a user-induced layer shift. First up was the noise test, and the results were very good. We start with our TMC 2209 baseline. That's a tick for box 1. I would consider these on par for volume with TMC drivers. Next up, the hunt for surface artifacts. And again, I think they're quite comparable. If you squint long enough, you'll probably see lines on either one, but I give these a tick for question 2, as there's nothing like the prominent diagonal stripes like you get with A4988 stepper motor drivers. Finally, a legitimate torture test by whacking the printer with a rubber mallet mid-print. With the open loop TMC 2209s, this spectacular result was produced by this collision. I tried really hard to get a layer shift with the new stepper motors, but every time I would whack the carriage, it would instantly spring back into the original position as shown on this slow motion footage. I'm sure you'll agree it's pretty impressive. As for the finished print, this tiny line here was the worst thing that I could find. Now you might notice that last cube was undersized, and I had to up my X and Y steps per millimeter from 80 to 100 to correct for this. After storing these settings in the EEPROM, that had the printer working again as it should, with the added benefit of hopefully being immune to random layer shifts. Based on my testing, I'm pleased with the results, and I'm happy to confirm that these work as advertised. If you think this might be for you, just remember my suitability checklist, because these won't be suitable for every printer and application. Have you ever tried these before, or are you going to now? Please let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy 3D printing. G'day, it's Michael again. If you liked the video, then please click like. If you want to see more content like this in future, click subscribe, and make sure you click on the bell to receive every notification. If you really want to support the channel and see exclusive content, become a patron. Visit my Patreon page. See you next time.